Testosterone levels have been plummeting by 1% a year since the 1980s, which means if you were born in 2000 like me, your test levels are 20% lower than someone born in the 80s, and 30 to 40% lower for the kids born in 2010 and 2020. This is extremely concerning, especially for us men, because testosterone isn't just about masculinity, it's what regulates our physical, emotional, and cognitive health. We're not able to build as much muscle and are packing on more fat. We have way less energy than the men of the past, and our anxiety and depression levels are skyrocketing. We're also less confident than ever before, and that's just a small piece of what having low testosterone does to a man. But why is this happening? How can something like this happen so fast? Today I'm going to give you those answers and hopefully some remedies to try and fight back. First things first, the why. How could something so vital to our health be in such a crisis? Well, I wish it was a simple explanation, but this is a multifaceted issue, so I'm going to break it down for you piece by piece, starting with our environment. First is the endocrine-disrupting chemicals. Unfortunately, in our modern industrialized world, we are constantly exposed to so many synthetic chemicals called xenoestrogens that mimic estrogen in the body. Why that's a problem is that estrogen directly antagonizes testosterone, disrupting its production and converting our free test into estrogen through the enzyme known as aromatase. These xenoestrogens are found in many of the things we use on a daily basis, like plastics, which contain BPA, BPS, and the dreaded microplastics. In the synthetic fragrances and hygiene products we use, like soaps, deodorant, and colognes, which contain another xenoestrogen known as phthalates. And even sadly, in the plastic packaging our food is stored and sold in, like Tupperware and plastic trays, known as parabens. Next up is pesticides and herbicides. Exposure to chemicals like atrazine and glyphosate through produce such as fruits, vegetables, and meat and dairy fed an unclean diet, as well as agricultural runoff, have been linked to hormonal imbalances as well as increased risks in other diseases like cancer. And rounding out the environmental portion, we got water contamination. Like I just mentioned, our water is contaminated through agricultural runoff like pesticides, as well as pharmaceuticals like birth control, which cannot be filtered out by water treatment facilities. But we can't blame it all on just environmental factors. An even bigger cause is our modern lifestyle, starting with our poor diets. In our modern world, it's very easy to consume a diet full of processed, sugar, and trans fat filled foods. These foods not only have a whole host of negative consequences on our hormones, but also just our overall health. These foods contain little to no nutritional value, barely any vitamins or minerals like zinc, magnesium, vitamin D, or omega-3 fatty acid, which are all essential building blocks for our body to synthesize testosterone. And worst of all, these foods cause obesity, insulin resistance, and inflammation, which further inhibits testosterone production, and in the case of obesity, even causes your body to produce more estrogen. This is why when dudes get fat, they develop man boobs, because the estrogen makes your body develop literal breast tissue. Next, it goes hand in hand with a poor diet. It's a sedentary lifestyle. A lack of exercise, especially resistance training, reduces testosterone production. By sitting around all day consuming useless content, spending 12 hours sweating in your room playing video games, and not moving and using your body, it will stop producing as much test, since your body will assume you don't really need it. It's like the old saying goes, move it or lose it. This next one is something I greatly struggle with: sleep deprivation. Like most of the hormones in our body, sleep is when most of our testosterone is synthesized. If you're not getting the recommended 7 to 9 hours at night, how do you expect your body to make your hormones reach their optimal levels? This one goes hand in hand with the next one. Chronic stress and anxiety. Without a good night's sleep, your cortisol levels go through the roof. For those of you who don't know what cortisol is, it's the stress hormone. Cortisol, like estrogen, suppresses testosterone production, and being constantly stressed out about stuff like girls, the economy, politics, or your rank on the game are all raising your cortisol levels, which in turn lower your test production. The same goes for anxiety. Constantly being exposed to distressing things on the news or social media will make you anxious and stressed out, again raising your cortisol levels. The next one younger me would not want to hear. It's substance abuse. Bad news for all my stoners. Weed, more specifically THC, nukes your testosterone levels through a plethora of ways, such as increasing cortisol, impairing hormone production, and it has even shown the potential to shrink your balls. Similarly, alcohol consumption is bad due to its increasing of the aromatase hormone that I mentioned earlier, which turns the test into estrogen. It also damages the brain signal that produces the test, and again, like weed, by raising cortisol and damaging your balls. Moderation is fine, but be careful, as with all substances, there's always the risk for addiction and abuse. So we now know a big part of what's causing the testosterone crisis, but how can we fight back? Don't you worry, brother, I'm here to tell you just that. How to avoid endocrine disrupting chemicals. Obviously, some EDCs can't be avoided, but we can minimize our exposure in some ways. Stop drinking from plastic water bottles, switch to glass or metal. Avoid food packaged in plastic the best you can, and do not heat foods in the plastic containers in the microwave, as that releases a lot more xenoestrogens into the food. Opt for glass instead. Where possible, switch to glass, wood, or stainless steel for food storage and preparation. Don't put metal into the microwave, of course, that's a fire hazard. Overall, try to replace whatever you can from plastic to natural materials, within reason of course. For phthalates and parabens in personal care products, opt for natural, non-toxic options. Most labels will tell you when a product is phthalate or paraben free. Educate yourself on brands that are all natural or are removing them from their formula. The more awareness is shed on this stuff, the more likely brands are to fix up and get this crap out of their products. For water contamination, it's pricey, but investing in a reverse osmosis water filter is the best option you have at removing chemicals and EDCs from your drinking water. A decent and cheaper alternative is a Brita filter. It might not remove all the junk, but a little is still better than a lot. Avoid tap water, as that's what usually is loaded with agricultural runoff and pharmaceuticals. For avoiding pesticides, look into the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15, which I'll link below. It's essentially a list updated yearly that shows the most contaminated and clean produce in North America. For foods that may be contaminated, soak them in 2 cups water and 1 teaspoon of baking soda for 12 to 15 minutes to just wash that junk off. Or, if you're really about your health, consider starting a garden and growing what you can yourself so you know what's in it. Another important step to combat the crisis is of course some lifestyle changes. Optimize your diet for testosterone production. Like I said before, a big cause of low testosterone in men is the poor diets we consume. Avoid processed foods and sugars besides as the occasional treat. Prioritize testosterone boosting foods like those rich in healthy fats, zinc, magnesium, and vitamin D, like avocados, olive oil, coconut oil, nuts, eggs, grass-fed beef and milk, fatty fish like salmon, chicken, turkey, spinach, broccoli, and so much more. I could even make a video about some testosterone boosting foods, so let me know if y'all would like to see that. I also recommend intermittent fasting, as that can help keep you from overeating throughout the day. Start with a 16-hour fasting window and 8 hours to eat, and adjust as you see fit. This can also help with insulin sensitivity. Achieve and maintain a healthy body composition. Like I said before, high body fat causes an increase in estrogen in men, so try to maintain a healthy weight and a low body fat percentage. My advice would be to exercise regularly, especially weightlifting, as that increases testosterone greatly, but don't skip out on the cardio either, as it can help keep fat off and it is good for your overall health. Get enough sleep. This is simple but extremely important. Prioritize sleep over anything. No late nights gaming if you gotta get up early, and no all-nighters to cram before a test. 7 to 9 hours of sleep at night, no compromises. Also, optimize your sleep environment. Keep your room dark and cool, and use white noise if that helps you sleep faster. Manage stress. Develop healthy coping mechanisms for stress and anxiety like meditation, yoga, breath work, or journaling. If you can, try to do them all. From my personal experience, these have a massive impact on managing my stress. A bonus tip is being more stoic. Change what you can and accept what you can't. Don't worry about things out of your hands like politics or the economy. Avoid alcohol and drugs. Embracing a sober lifestyle, or at least greatly cutting back on alcohol and recreational drugs. No more wake and bake or getting plastered every weekend. Save these things for meaningful occasions and celebrations. But if you know you can't moderate, sobriety is your best friend. Incorporate testosterone boosting supplements. Consider taking supplements like ashwagandha, maca root, fenugreek, and black seed oil for better health and possible boosts to testosterone. Do your own research and leave any supplement suggestions in the comments. While you're at it, get regular blood work done to check your test levels, as well as to see if you have any deficiencies which could hinder hormone production. And if you don't get much sun due to lifestyle or location, consider vitamin D3 supplementation as well. Last but certainly not least is semen retention. This one's a bit controversial, but I'm a big preacher for the practice of semen retention. Constantly busting and spilling your seed is taxing on the body, and it requires a lot of vitamins and minerals to replenish it. Science may not agree, but this is Manu approved for sure. And that about rounds off the actionable steps you can take to fight back against the testosterone crisis. This crisis is very real, but it's not permanent. You got the information now. It's up to you to use it. Like the video if it helped you or informed you. Comment your own tips or questions down below. Share this with your buddy who's a soy boy and needs to up his test. And subscribe for more videos just like this one. Thanks for watching, and I love you. Bye.